and time goes on. Ridge it is that starts, and one of these sides will be on their way to the Twin Towers in 7 days from now. Carroll it is with the first touch for Australia, and Tuvey as expected at dummy half, and this is Larson. This is going to be a much different occasion for Gary Larson today than it was when he made that hurried or mercy dash from Australia to help out the Australian cause. He opened, of course, against the Fijians. New Zealand will be much more concentrated, much more determined. Tuvey plays it now back for Jim Dimmick. And it is Kemp who goes through to try and put some pressure on the kickers. And Fittler eventually is the man that drives it down for Ridge, who comes outside the 10-metre line. Australians Hill and Menzies combined to put him down, and now Sean Hoppy is put to the ground by Pay and Carroll.
And Australia will look to a very simple game plan of controlling possession when they have it. A good kicking game. We just saw a fine kick from Brad Fittler there. Ridge took it on the fall. There's a good run there from Henry Paul. Will give him some confidence. Now Mark Horrow over halfway. Another good 10 metres. That's the last.
Well, Johns went close to giving a penalty there. Horrow wanted to get up and play it, and Johns forced him back down. Brasher loses his footing. Even that brings some applause from the crowd. And now Wishart came off the wing and he bumped away from Paul. So Tuvey dummies to a wide blind side, and Dimmick wrestling there with Kearney. Eventually got the pass away, Dimmick, as Jim Dimmick can. And Tuvey plays it on the halfway line for Coyne to give off and Pay to push it on for Carroll to take to ground under the weight of the tackle of the number 9 Henry Paul, and Tony Kemp playing at 5/8 today. Fittler now, who menaced New Zealand in 3 test matches during the year with that kicking game of his. The tackle count not nullified. It wasn't played at by the Kiwis. They go high, and Ridge is hit hard by Wishart coming down the ground. But Ridge, as tough as teak, is up and away.
A great piece of football there from Matthew Ridge. Absorbed the pressure, got smashed by Wishart, and then got up and made another 15, 20 metres.
Wily as they come. Here's Matthew Ridge. The 8 is Lomax. Captained against France and captained against Australia in the first test this year before his injury, and of course today back from suspension. 15 of the 17 Kiwis played Winfield Cup this year. The youngest captain ever for them is with it now, Kearney. They go to the right for Kemp to put it on the right boot and keep it low. And here's young Brett Dallas now, getting his first touch of the ball, and ridden into the ground by another youngster on the wing, Richard Barnett from Cronulla, and he's been penalised for high.
It should be a good battle on the wings. Very quick men out there. Brett Dallas had a dream series against New Zealand, or a first test match for him. Scored the first 2 tries from memory. The kicking game of Brad Fittler and Andrew Johns. Finds touch with a tremendous kick, 30 metres out, New Zealand line.
Tuvey doing the work that you would think would fall upon the hooker or dummy half. Tuvey in that role. Andrew Johns at first receiver as Larson takes it to the centre of the ground. Tuvey now looks for Johns, and Johns had the option of giving it on for Dimmick, but Menzies tries to squeeze through a gap as he got the benefit of the decoy offered by Dimmick, and now they come back for Fittler to show it. Then Brasher puts the step on and he's in. Brasher gets the try for Australia, and huge odds with the bookies over here to score first try. I think 25-1. And Brasher got it, and got it so easily.
Beautiful work, and that's what we've needed to see from Australia. Andrew Johns in at first receiver, a bullet-like pass to Brad Fittler. He went to the line. A lovely inside ball to Timmy Brasher. The gap opened up, and then the footwork to beat a despairing dive from Matthew Ridge. Great attacking play from the Australians. Tremendous inside work from their backs.
And already the ploy of Tuvey dummy half and Andrew Johns at halfback is working with those long passes, cutting out 2 and 3 players, and Fittler, simple inside ball. Beautiful stuff. Tim Brasher gets the first try.
And what that does is catch out some forwards a little bit lazy and tight on the inside. Couldn't get there.
So Johns from right in front. He won't get them easier, and he raises the flag. So Australia in the early minutes against New Zealand, 6 points to nothing. He would have had the pace to be at the other end of the park.
And again, from this scrum, we see the blind winger for Australia, Rod Wishart, coming to the open side. So we'll see bodies in motion, trying to put on a move from a very good attacking position. Wishart goes through, second man from Brasher.
Now Brasher has come around. He's made the extra man twice, in fact. And now he's put away by Ridge's tackle, completed by Barnett. Tuvey works the blind side, tries to put 3 on 2, and he's put down 5 out. As Coyne goes in for dummy half, and Carroll comes lumbering up to offer a decoy run. Larson is the ball carrier, and Gary's able to get the ball away. Coyne is with it. Coyne tries to dance through, gets it away for Carroll. Carroll throws a long ball. Andrew Johns, he got a flick back. Oh, Menzies is in again. Menzies goes in for another touchdown.
Well, there's plenty of confidence in this Australian attack, keeping the ball alive. The cutout pass from Mark Carroll was a good one because it went into space. Fortunately, Andrew Johns got the right bounce and was able to just bat the ball back to Steve Menzies. What a tournament this player is having. It takes him...
equals the most number of tries in the tournament for Menzies. He now draws level with Robbie O'Davis. Great
work here from Gary Larson. Mark Coyne also bouncing back out. Mark Carroll got back into position to take the pass. And then, well, Andrew, that's just brilliance from Andrew Johns. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, wonderful stuff there, especially from Mark Carroll. Had the foresight to look out wide, find the spaces. It was a speculator, but he knew there was plenty of green and gold jumpers out there, and Steve Menzies gets the second. And New Zealand under some pressure, not handling it at all.
So Andrew Johns will attempt to bring us to 12-0 in the second semi-final. Australia starting brilliantly for Bob Fulton, and Andrew from about 12 metres in from touch is just offline. 10 points to 0 then, 2 tries, and I must admit, somebody was talking to me about the odds on offer about the first try scorer, and Brasher was 25s and Menzies was 20-1 as we watch the try unfold again. These bookmakers out here, I don't know where they've been studying the form.
Well, John Hopewadi was 10-1, but that's just great work from Andrew Johns. Have a look at this. He knows exactly what he's doing. The hooker come... Oh, that's great. That is just great to watch.
Yeah, Hopewadi was 10-1. He's not even playing.
Exactly.
Only reason there was no shouts of joy, Reds, we couldn't find Ladbrokes anywhere in Huddersfield.
Believe it?
It's tragic, isn't it?
Believe it. I'm just about to throw myself off the stadium.
Carroll plays it now. Tuvey goes on for Larson. And Gary Larson played a big part in that try as Bob Fulton looks on pensively. And there's a mistake from the Australians. And that's the first little sniff that they've given the Kiwis.
Yeah, Terry had a few problems in the last game he played here at Huddersfield last weekend. Some debate as to whether that ball went forward, but Russell Smith deemed it so.
Well, he'd need to get back into position quickly because they had a good blind to attack. They come the open. Instead, Henry Paul nowhere near the scrum despite the 9 on his back.
Horrow packing in at hooker. And the penalty goes to the Kiwis, and Matthew Ridge from here will take the kick from right in front, 25 metres out. They don't come any simpler for Matthew Ridge. Not allowed to get up and play the ball as he wanted, Henry Paul, and that brought the penalty.
Well, he earned the penalty just through fighting to get up and play the football. If he had laid there like a slug, there's no dramas, but he fights to get up, appeals to the ref, and it's almost a certain 2 points. Terry's got some blood coming from his lip. He got hit pretty hard when he dropped that football. He looks like his tongue.
So that's where Ridge has the penalty. Former All Black who debuted for the Kiwis back in 1990. So Australia are away to a great start. They've picked up where they left off in the Test series. And now Matthew Ridge will try and edge a little bit away from this 10-0 total, and that he does. 10 points to 2. Australia over the Kiwis. 26-8, 20-10, 46-10. The scoreline in those test matches played in Australia. And they haven't been beaten by a New Zealand side since Melbourne in 1991. And that's gone out on the full. Penalty goes to New Zealand, and that is an indicator of the strength of the breeze.
It's also an indication, Ray, that this field is a little bit shorter than what the rugby league field should be. It's a very narrow in-goal area. And I'm just wondering whether Matthew Ridge is tempted to kick for goal. I think he'd have too many problems with the distance, although that breeze would have been a problem. We could see there as he kicked for touch, it actually brought the ball back towards him as Lomax takes the ball 35 out.
Played quickly by Lomax. Paul goes over. Kemp gives it on. A face ball over. And the 12 is Pongia, who's put down 30 metres out from the Australian line. Now for Jones, and now they pick up Kearney lurking out wide. Hill is out there waiting for him. He got up and threw a little punch, and he's given a penalty for certain. He's put the Australian captain on the carpet. Although I must say that Brad might have taken a little tumble here. Delayed reaction. Watch it. Wasn't a closed fist, and Fittler has taken the tumble, and the penalty has gone to New Zealand. That was for trying, I think he means, trying to rake the ball out while the player was trying to get up and play it. So New Zealand get the penalty.
Well, at the very least, it was for having the hand in there to stop the quick play of the ball, which is what Stephen Kearney was looking to do. Matthew Ridge now, he's 24 metres out. You'd have to fancy his chances from here a bit further than that, but he didn't have any problems with the distance at all.
Well, there's Brad Fittler with his hand on the football, and everybody in the game does that. Now watch Brad. All of a sudden he says, I better fall over. I better fall over. But that penalty has been given for player Brad Fittler on completely getting away from the man in the play the ball contest. That's all I can imagine. If they start giving penalties for that, they'll blow the peas out of their whistles. Ridge now from 28 out, looking okay. It's there. You can't give him a shot at them. 10 points to 4 at Huddersfield, the second semi-final. Now on the blind side, a fairly big blind, and Watson is put away by Bondier. 5 tackles gone for the Australians. Johns goes to the air, a torpedo punt, everybody's onside. Wishart almost plucked it out of the air.
Australia.
Kiwis are with it, and the turnover.
Well, it's a ploy that he's used in the Winfield Cup so successfully, and one of the great exponents of it is Andrew Johns kicking for his wingers. Rod Wishart, when he had it in his hands, it went straight through. The momentum would have taken him over the line. Getting into an important part of this game now, 14 minutes to go before half-time. It's even Stevens at the moment in general play.
Jason Young, poor dummy half. He dummied off to the blind side, and Mark Horrow, he's been around, he didn't nationals a long time. A good piece of work by Henry Paul, but Brasher has shut down a couple of opportunities for them simply by his anticipation and his ability to read what they're coming up with.
It's great football, isn't it? Those little things, willing to try something. Henry Paul, a new position for him, making his debut in the hooking role, but he's been very constructive around the rucks, and those little kicks keeping Australia on their toes.
Carroll now. 7 metres into the New Zealand half. They come back across halfway. They've got a lot of players out very wide. Brasher channels back in. Johns throws an ill-directed pass. Dean Pay had to go back for it and not held, able to get it away. Dimmick is with it. He gets it inside. Johns is with it. Outside for Brasher. Further for Coyne. Dallas is with him on the outside. Inside is Brasher. He lobs it over the top for Johns. They're still on the same blade of grass that they started on. Dimmick is tackled. Ocassini it was that made the tackle. Menzies now for Fittler. And Fittler keeps it on the ground this time as he goes across to Hoppy, and Wishart is there to put Hoppy down.
Some problems for Andrew Johns out there. He was poleaxed in that last movement as Barnett comes up with a surging run. That's a very strong run from a winger that's not that big. More wiry than anything else. Pongia now lines up. A swinging arm called by the crowd, not the referee.
Keen for work. Lowry gets it out. And then Paul got it on. Kemp gave it off to Hoppy. Hoppy is put on the turf. 5 metres into Australian territory, 28 minutes gone. Look at Ocassini coming at them. Ran over the top of one.
He's Dean Pay. Don't see that too often. Last tackle now. Back to Kemp. Race for the ball.
Barnett's coming through. Coyne got a push in the back. It's been raked out of the air by Iro. Put down there for Kearney. Australia coming up with it, but it could have gone the other way just as easily.
Oh, they're playing well. They're playing with confidence. Iro got to that first, but those runs like what Ocassini came up with before, they're lifting this side.
And here's a penalty. And it's going to go to the Australians. One of whom is on the ground. I think it's Terry Hill.
They've got a few problems out there, Australia. I don't think Jeff Tuvey's 100%. Terry's copped a few knocks. You see a bit of blood on his forehead. Andrew Johns carrying a bit of a shoulder. I think the main problem I can see with Australia after the initial 10 minutes is a lack of depth in their attacking play. Plenty of players want to stand and pass. They've got to get some depth so they can run back onto the football.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, especially when you've got the likes of Fittler and Andrew Johns, who are so good at putting the ball out in front of people. That and the speed of the play of the ball is still a worry.
Well, Terry's head was smashed into the ground there. That's why he's not well.
There was no beg pardon from Stephen Kearney. He wrapped Terry Hill's head in both arms and proceeded to bang it into the turf. And the smelling salts, whatever they call them these days, administered by the sheriff.
Well, this is going on. Rod Wishart is going through a stretching campaign on the far side. He's got his right thigh heavily strapped. So they may play a big role in this game for Australia, the 4 substitutes, as Carroll comes up with a mistake, drops the ball. Strong defence again. Pongia and Lowry. In fact, it's Horro going low.
There might have been some reports that there was no talking going on in the New Zealand camp leading up to the game, but there's plenty of talk now, let me tell you. They're on a high. The scoreboard says they're behind, but they can feel the pendulum coming their way. There's an Australian flat on his back on the 30-metre line as the Kiwis make for halfway.
Wishart.
Henry Paul, one of the stars in what New Zealand has done thus far. Jones, cross now for Lowry. Lowry put away by Menzies.
It's heavily concussed Rod Wishart, which makes them vulnerable to the right. That's the way they go. They're short in numbers.
Kemp it is that got the ball on, but Iro knocks on.
The Australian feed 20 metres out centre field. Time running out in this first half. Tim Brasher goes the blind side. If they can't score in 4 or 5, the 1 point would be very nice. 3 minutes left.
12 metres out from the Kiwi line. Carroll. Hit by Ocassini, who's put in some big deliveries. The Australians now looking to put points on the board just in front of the break. Dean Pay gets it away. Andrew Johns, then on for Menzies. Menzies puts on a step, and then he's hit by the defence of Iro over the top of Henry Paul. Tuvey now. They've stacked the blind side. Pay is with it. Now Coyne. Coyne. He's over. Coyne's in to score for the Australians. Right in front of the break. 14-4.
And that's a great breakthrough for the Australians right on the stroke of half-time. A very poor attempted tackle by Tony Kemp on Mark Coyne. Saw the St George centre slide through and score. It was a stacked blindside, but they had the numbers, New Zealand, and 2 players grabbed it thin air.
It's good to see. First of all, saw Fittler using his own ability, making the long bust, and now Coyne does exactly the same. Too many players these days want to be put into gaps or set up someone with a beautiful pass. Good to see some players taking their own initiative, making the bus, using their skill, their steps, their dummies, and actually going through the defensive line. Fittler and then Coyne. And I'll tell you what, they needed that too. That might just take a wind out of the New Zealand sails. If they had headed into half-time at 10-4, they're still thinking there's some hope, but at 14 or possibly 16, just a bit down.
That's the point I made earlier, Paul. I think they probably felt they were the team entitled to score next. So Johns from 8 metres in from touch, 20 metres out. This time he gets it away again perfectly, but he's offline. So Fulton wondering whether he's thinking about the other goal kicker. 14-4. It's not that Johns are striking them badly. This is the try on replay for Mark Coyne, and doesn't he come up with some tries?
Oh, he does. He's got a great right foot step, and he's beaten many players with that right foot step through the dummy first. That sent Tony Kemp scampering out to cover the winger.
Talking of tries scored by Mark Coyne, his name rushes to mind when you think about the importance of some of those tries. Of course, the most memorable, that incredible State of Origin try. Now Gary Larson, about 38 metres out. Lomax has been taped up. Tuvey now. The halftime siren should be with us. We're into injury time now, as Brasher was put down over the top by Pongia, and it was Lowry underneath from the Sydney City Roosters. Well, a misunderstanding, and Tuvey has found himself into an opening, looking for somebody to join in. Carroll was his nearest colleague, and a knock on. Tuvey tried to give it to Fittler.
Well, there was a try went begging there as Tuvey came up with the bust up the middle. He's done a great job at dummy half. The pass possibly, well, it should have been thrown about 4 seconds earlier, and Menzies was under the sticks. So they've created some chances, Australia. Those will be happy, I think, with the last 10 minutes in the first 10.
As the halftime siren sounds, Russell Smith says there is no more, and the Australians leave at half-time, having scored 3 tries and leading by 14 points to 4. England waiting for the winner of this as Australia starts the second half of the second semi-final, and Lomax with the tape round the head from that blood bin earlier. He's tackled 20 metres out from his own line. 26 tackles did I see for Brad Fittler. An enormous amount of tackles for a 5'8". And then a knock on. Which way has he ruled here? Yes, he's called the knock on against the Kiwis. So a very important scrum. Gene Namu was the offender.
It was a knockback originally, but there's the little one there from Namu.
Australia with a loose head and feed, 25 metres out from the Kiwi line. They started great in the first half. Will they do something similar in the early minutes of the second half? A strong tackle by Iro on Coyne. Now Larson gets it back inside the 20-metre line. There's some heavy hitting in there. Tuvey across for Johns and then for Carroll. Big Mark Carroll will play it as the troops from Australia start to assemble on the blind side prior to going back to Fittler on the other side of the ground. Then an angle, and Menzies is there to be tackled, well read by the Kiwis, particularly Mark Horrow. O'Davis is on for Wishart, and we've got Gene Namu on for Tony Kemp as Andrew John's got a pass round the corner. Dean Pay is tackled 5 metres out on 5. Terry Hill passes, Dimmick is with it. Johns now, he puts in a little kick, and again it's a shallow in goal, and it doesn't give you very much. So back to the 20-metre line for the restart.
No, wrong kicks. The grubbers on this field today, similar to the North Sydney Oval, very tiny in goal areas, and the bomb across the field was the one there.
There's the New Zealand hierarchy in the complication. Gary Kemble, one of his assistants, former fullback for the New Zealanders. Great career, was there for a long time, and Bob Fulton, the Australian coach, be a little bit happier. Certainly would have been when Mark Coyne got across the line just before half-time. And Chris Bomblish, we got the reports out of the sheds at half-time. What did they say?
Certainly do,
Here's a break, Chris. We'll come back to you. Iro got around Mark Coyne. Not an easy trick, but he performed it well. Namu has put a little bit of bite into the attack now. They go high. Jones put the kick in. Brasher didn't even look like getting near it. Iro gets it in field. The ball goes down off both sides. Well,
there's a mistake.
New Zealand knocked on first, but here they are with possession. Namu across. Henry Paul goes to the 10-metre line, and Brasher and Larson combine. And Larson holds him down as long as he can. And now the ref comes in and penalises for trying to steal the ball. For delaying the play, the ball might be a more correct interpretation. So New Zealand will take the kick at goal. Chris Bombolas, we interrupted you as you were telling us about what Frank Endicott had to say at half-time.
Thanks, Ray. Yes, Frank said he wanted his side to complete their sets of 6 and put more pressure on Australia. In the Australian camp, Bob Fulton said, don't be intimidated, stick to the game plan. And I can tell you that on the stroke of half-time, Australian team manager Jeff Carr came past, English referees coordinator. Greg McCallum is sitting behind us, and he intimated that they're not happy with the physical nature of the game as the crowd erupts.
The crowd's erupting because of the Australian trainers is being spoken to by the referee. I have to say that there has been a lot of movement by the Aussie trainers coming on throughout the course of this match.
Good on you, Sheriff.
So Matthew Ridge from very close range. He doesn't miss them. Comes back with a pleasing smile on the face. Australia didn't come up to meet him, though. It almost seemed like they waited for Lomax to arrive. Here's some danger. No, young Dallas is underneath it and safe with it.
Wonderful take by Brett Dallas, but danger signs for Australia, as you said, Ray. They did not move up in defence. They stood flat-footed, and then Dean Pay put on a shoulder charge, which did nothing. We've got to bring the man on the ground.
He's put on a couple out there this afternoon, Dean Pay. He's normally very effective in defence, but a couple of times he's just been pushed off. Sometimes given more momentum to the ball runner.
Now Tooby goes across to his captain. They turn it in field. Menzies is into a gap. Now Menzies goes for the accelerator. They're after him. The Australian second rower. He's running out of faith. He's over. He's there. Menzies. That is superb. 6 tries in the tournament. 29 tries for the year. They had backs. They had everybody bar the police chasing him, and they couldn't round him up.
And he's going to be one of the all-time greats in the game of rugby league. There is no doubt about that. Marvellous year last year, and he's backed it up. Look at the quick hands there from Andrew Johns. Again, beautiful work. And then Menzies straight around Stacey Jones. Sean Hoppy coming from his left, Matthew Rich from his right. He got the big fend out, pushed away from Sean Hoppy, who is a good defender but should have gone low. And Steve Menzies has run half the length of the field to get his second.
Well, how good is he? He's the best running forward, I think, Australian Rugby League has ever seen him and possibly will ever see. Look at the stride on him, a beautiful mover, and then the fend on the end of it. That's after running 50 metres at full pace. Just great stuff. He's a great player. And, you know, Bob Fulton doesn't care that if he only makes 5 or 6 tackles a game. Steve Menzies is there to do just what he did then.
Well, here's the young man that played an important part, Andrew Johns. His work with the captain in close, laid it on. Now he gets a goal. He'll be happy with that. And Australia reached 20-6 at Huddersfield. We break. And Kosef, like Jason Smith, can take some of the pressure off Brad Fittler. That last tackle on Gary Larson didn't help him as Mark Carroll relaxes on the benches. And Brasher is now 5 metres into opposition territory. 20 points to 6, almost an hour of the match is gone. And Fittler puts the kick in behind Ridge. Ridge will be forced to bring it back off his own line. And the tackle made effectively by Jim Dimmick. And I was going to mention earlier, and we got a bit sidetracked as Rod Wishart watches on, but Jeff Tuvey's defence today has been outstanding.
I've got to agree with Paul. I don't think that Jeff Tuvey is 100%, but it shows just how big his heart is. And he just keeps taking on the big blokes and putting them on the deck and coming up with important tackles. he's very good at reading where he's needed and getting there quickly. Iro now confronted by some strong Australian defence once again.
Including Tuvi. Namu now spears the ball across. And here they are with Tony Iro using Henry Paul. Stephen Kearney turns it back in for Quentin Pongia to pick up Tony Iro for Stacey Jones. And he's put away 29 out by Brasher. The Kiwis, though, piling on some attack. They're on the last tackle. Kevin Iro taken out there by Fittler. The ball lifted across for Blackmore. Turned inside. They're over. That's a try by Richard Barnett. The youngster has grabbed a try against the Australians.
And what a great try it was. Starting off with the previous play. Ball going through, must have been 8 or 10 sets of hands. And then on the last tackle, they've gone to the left-hand side. They should have received a penalty, New Zealand. Australia were well and truly offside, especially Brad Fittler, but the referee played good advantage. Namu, the long pass out to Kevin Iro. He took on Fittler, was able to get the ball away over the top. Richie Blackmore taken by Dallas. Great pass back inside behind Stephen Menzies to Barnett, who gets the ball over for their first.
And Australia penalised for being up inside the 10. So the likelihood of a try becomes even more possible. It's Okasini.
That's great defence.
Now Jones turns it inside for Kearney. He's great with the ball. They're able to put him away, Stephen Kearney. 10 metres out. Now Gene Namu. Now they've got the numbers, the Kiwis, and Iro! Tony Iro is in! 20 points to 14.
He's an impact player, Tony Iro, and that was all too simple. We come back to the mistakes made by Australia in their own half. Tim Brasher may not have knocked on from a dummy half position, but the referee felt that he had, and that gave possession to the Kiwis. And they're starting to smell an upset late in this match. Namu changes the point of attack. Across to Iro, the Australians not coming up. Larson going across, Tuvi standing flat-footed. And the gap opened up between the two.
Yeah, clever work by Namu. He's been their best player in the second half. He's added some real spark to them. And Gary Larson must be getting pretty tired. As there goes the kick from Matthew Ridge. It's over. We've got a game on our hands now, Ravi. 20 points to 16, Australia lead.
Bob Fulton must be very tempted looking at Matthew Johns and Nick Kosef sitting down there in the dugout. There are some players out there getting very tired. The referee telling the Australians to hurry up. He's also telling the trainers to get off the field once again.
So we're set for one very big finish here. Tony Iro through the tackle of Larson and through the gap of Larson and Tuvi.
It's all about field position now, Ray, and Okasini gets some pretty good one from the restart, taking it outside the 20-metre line. The Australians cannot give away penalties and give the opposition another set of 6, and you've got to play the football game at the other end of the field.
So Henry Paul is pulled down. He throws the pass back, and Matthew Ridge gives it on for Okasini, then for Stacey Jones. He runs into Larson and Dimmick. They're back on their own 20-metre line. Australia desperate to get the football back. Stephen Kearney has reached the 30-metre line.
Can't give away.
Now Henry Paul outside the 40-metre line. The crowd willing on New Zealand. Jones on 5. Ridge rolls it in behind them. Brasher comes out of the deep. The bounce favourable for the fullback.
Now there's a question mark on Australia getting back on side. We've still got 5 or 6 players not on side yet.
And that's why it's important for the likes of Terry Hill, Brasher, O'Davis, coming in, taking some pressure off.
Big defence from Tony Iro. Jeff Tuvi's into space. Ridge has got him. Okasini holds him down on the halfway. Australia now, they put on the attack. Andrew Johns and Jim Dimmick. And then Coyne gave Dallas an opportunity. He, along with Gene Namu, really provided New Zealand with some great comeback material. Ruben Wicke in 16. Away from Namu now into the hands of Kearney. Wide for Kevin Iro. Kevin pulled down 30-metre line underneath him. Ridge. Stacey Jones on for Kearney. They angle back. Now Ridge is with it. Blackmore. They're heading for the corner. They're in. Kevin Iro scores. 20 points all. Ridge will kick from the sideline.
And if you'd want anybody to be kicking, it would be Matthew Ridge. They could have grabbed this one in the final minutes. Kevin Iro, who's been outstanding in this game. We haven't seen him play well at international level for quite a while. But he's come up with something special this afternoon, and it may be very much in the form of a match-winning try. Keeping the ball alive. Iro, the handoff. Henry Paul found some space, got a good ball away, and then tremendous hands from Blackmore. Robbie O'Davis shouldn't have come in off his wing. Brasher couldn't put the big man over the sideline.
Well, you've got to see this about New Zealand. They've competed all match. And they've come up with the equaliser. A great try, Australians. They're out on their feet. They're very, very tired. And the defensive mistake, O'Davis there, Larson was coming across. And Iro into the corner. I suppose if you're looking for someone, any goal kicker in the world, to break a deadlock in a semi-final, let's see who's going to Wembley, you'd pick Matthew Ridge, wouldn't you?
So Matthew Ridge from the sideline, 20 metres out. You'd have to think this to win it, but he's missed it. So we look like we're going into extra time. It'll be 10 minutes by 10 minutes. And then if required, they'll go another 10 minutes. And you've got to think the way they're finishing, they're the team coming down the hill.
Yeah, look, they played well. Australia do look tired. They've got Terry Hill in the sin bin. Let's not forget that. That's Terry played on this side of the field in defence. They missed him there. But, you know, once again, I don't want to be critical of Russell Smith, but he's really been lackadaisical, penalising New Zealand for being offside in that area.
Well, if Australia do have run advantage going into extra time, apart from getting Terry Hill back on the field, it is the fact that they have two fresh replacements. Matthew Johns and Nick Kossoff haven't been used in this game. All four substitute for New Zealand are out there. There's one from Okasini taken by Demick. So Matthew Johns and Nick Kossoff really could come on and do something for their side just because they've got the fresh legs.
Jones's pass finds Namu. Then Blackmore. 10 metres into Australian territory.
Oh, what about a long-range field goal?
Namu through to Jones. 31 metres out on tackle 5.
Last tackle, Namu wants it. It's gone back to the wrong man. Now to Matthew Ridge. Left footer.
Gets the shot in. Bradshaw watches it, but it's wide.
Oh.
So back to the 20-metre line for the restart.
What about that? Oh, if they had gone to Ridge originally, he had a mile of time, but it went to the wrong man. He's a freak. He's come back on his left foot, and it's missed by a fair inch.
I don't need this.
So Australia. We are now in injury time and faced with the prospect of another 20 minutes. And my understanding is that if it's locked up at the end of that 20, they would play another 10. There's the siren for the end of 80 minutes. 20 points all. 4 tries to 3. Look back on the goal-kicking performances now and realise just how important they are. So, Ridge starts. Australia with 2 fresh replacements, Matthew Johns and Nick Kossoff. New Zealand have none. Larson is 5 metres out from his own, or should I say 5 metres inside his 20-metre line. Dimick is on the 20-metre line. Now it's Brad Fittler. Tuvey is away from dummy half. He positions Robbie O'Davis. And O'Davis is tackled on the halfway. 20 points all at the end of full time. We're in extra time. Fittler goes over for Andrew Johns, and he comes back in to be tackled by Sean Hoppy. Able to get it away though. Tooby comes back into the middle. Tooby, and is taken there by Matthew Reid. 30 metres out on 5 tackles. Jason Smith turns it in for Larson. Just looking at the way the Australians are setting there, they're looking for drop goal. Andrew Johns kicks ahead, the ball in the end goal over the touchline.
Brad Fittler was looking for the long range. 1-pointer at the end of that. It could be enough in this game. There was a mix-up. Fortunately, Andrew Johns had dropped back to give him a little bit of an out. And that kick just going into the in-goal area. New Zealand on their second tackle. Look for Ruben Wiki.
Well, I think it's too early for 1-pointers. They've got to get a try and put them to bed. Maybe get the try, then go for the 1-pointer. But tries are what's all about. And here goes Iro.
Kevin Iro, 5 metres on his side of halfway. And now, brother Tony, stampeding run. Kicked ahead by the New Zealanders. Now with Jim Dimmick. Dimmick working in traffic. Watching the Australians trying to take that long drop goal attempt. I'm wondering what message they have in regard to how this match will be decided. Dean Pay. Out of the way. The pass was forward. The referee gets a call from the touch judge. In the period that followed, Kevin Iro levelled at 20 points all. Australia, though, a let-off with Ridge failing to convert. Here's Matthew Johns now. 30 metres out from his own line. So Andrew and Matthew are both in there. Jason Smith got a pass back. The Australians, down the ground they go. Touched by New Zealand. He didn't call it. Doesn't matter whether he calls it or not. Terry Hill is over. And Australia score wide out.
Well, he's been on the field a matter of seconds, but he's put the ball down wide out after some brilliant lead-up work. Jason Smith got a tremendous pass away. Looked like he was going to slice through. And Terry Hill, 3 tries in this World Cup. I don't think we'll see one more important. The dummy's thrown by Jason Smith. The pass back inside. Terry Hill gets his first touch. Jim Dimmick, that was touched by a New Zealand player. Brilliant hands there from Matthew Johns, and Terry Hill set sail for the line. Great try under pressure.
It would be a touch of irony if he kicks this. 2 metres in from touch. On its way and just wide again. So 4 points the difference. 8 minutes of the first, 10 minutes of extra time elapsed. Well, if you people had thought that you might be a touch late for work tomorrow, you're doubly excused if you're a touch later. Terry Hill scoring a try that might well have taken Australia to Wembley to defend their crown. That makes it 5 tries to 3. Brasher, who scored the first, and remember the start Australia got. It seemed as though it was over after 10 minutes.
And that was good play from Timmy Brasher. Took the ball on the full, could have offloaded to Gary Larson, but no need to throw an extra pass in your own territory. And Timmy Brasher made it to the 20-metre mark by himself.
Jeff Turvey's game today, I mentioned defence earlier, but he has found himself running into vacant space so many times in the game. The Manly number 7 has had one of his great games, and we're pretty confident that he's not 100%. Matthew Johns on 5. His brother gets the kick in. The winger for New Zealand has touched it. Everybody's onside. Of course, we're talking about one hell of a winger. Sean Hoppy kicking to him on the full. Can be a very dangerous pastime. Henry Paul, 30 metres out from his own line. Richard Barnett is now 42 metres out from his line. Australia 24-20. Jones, Pongia, Away from Tuvey, but then Matthew Johns and Stephen Menzies made the tackle. Jones crosses the halfway line, ran into Larson, he wrapped him up. There's the end of the first 10. So I don't think they break here. I think they'll go straight around.
Some cramp starting to appear with a couple of the players out there. That's another thing they have to battle against.
Well, Gary Larson, once again, you know, I think Rabs is calling him about 4 times every minute. Tackling, running. It's been great for Australia the last couple of games they've played. Cassini juices up.
I don't want to make this comment sounding as though it's sour grapes. I mean, we are in front by 4. But I tell you what, this man in the centre, he hasn't made this job any the easier for the Australians. His interpretations of the rules a couple of times have left me bewildered. And I don't try intentionally to go out of my way to bag referees. But his interpretation of our 10 metres and their 10 metres, and a couple of other little things that have happened in this game that have left me quite bewildered. As Andrew Johns starts, and a deepish kick off, don't tell me. Well, Andrew, our nerves are not good enough for that.
Well, what was Quentin Pongia doing catching the football anyway?
So, this is Okasini now.
All he had to do was actually put his foot on the white line and catch the football. It would have been a penalty to Australia.
It was harder for him not to get a penalty for his team there than it was.
Well, no, that's not right, Paul. If he had his foot on the dead ball line, it would have been a penalty to New Zealand.
That's what I said. Don't say Australia. No,
yeah.
Penalty to New Zealand, I meant that.
So it's New Zealand now behind by 4. We're in the second period of 10. Brazil is back. O'Davis comes back to help him. They did something fantastic with this play. I don't think they'll use it. Yes, they are. O'Davis falls in. They run across to the right of the ground, but it's not working like it did against the Fijian. Now, Coyne, as Barnett works overtime in defence. Dallas puts on a step and tries to beat Iro. These monsters in the centre. They've been great. Iro and Blackmore. Now Mark Coyne. Then it's Brett Dallas. And he's 40 metres away from his own line. Tuvey a dummy half. John. Wide for Matthew. Then wide for Hill. Terry Hill. He had Menzies on his right. Still going. Terry Hill has tackled. 25 out. Tackle number 5. Now from Menzies to Larson. Then for Jim Dimmick. Now for Johns. He puts a kick in. They go back into the in goal. They'll try and keep him in there. They're going to do that. They'll get it back, the Australians.
Andrew Johns, so cool. You could see exactly what he was trying to do. Get another set of 6. The perfect play in that situation. Away from Matthew Ridge. Ball was picked up by Henry Paul. And the Johns boys combined to get Australia another set. Johns down again with cramp.
Andrew Johns displaying maturity in this game far beyond his years. Getting some attention for cramp. If Terry Hill, and I know it's easy from here, if he had a look to his right then, he had Menzies unchecked inside. Terry Hill now, wrestled down by the 11, which is Stephen Kearney. 24-20, and 7 minutes to go as Larson hammers it to the 20-metre line. Tuvey now, looking for Brad Fittler. And there goes the captain! There goes the captain! Brad Fittler's in, you little beauty! Fittler scores! He chooses so purposely and so rarely to take them on himself, and when he does, he invariably comes up with a big break. Andrew Johns from in front will make it 30 points to 20. And so now the Kiwis, as game as they've been, will look forlornly at the scoreboard that says 10 points the margin one more time. This was Fittler. This was Fittler at his best. That big left step, and he just cut a sway through them. But as I said, he catches, he passes, he kicks. and he selects when to run. Now, New Zealand. They've got off the floor once. Can they get off the floor again? 16-odd thousand here at McAlpine Stadium, Huddersfield. And the night skies are starting to descend on Huddersfield.
Jeff Tuvey again finds himself on his backside. Cassini charging again. There's Kearney up the middle of the ruck. Again finds Jeff Tuvey around his ankles. What a game he's had.
Tuvey is cramped up again. 5 minutes left to go in the match, and Australia lead by 10. You'd think it's enough to get home, wouldn't you? Iro around the back for his brother Kevin, and he puts in a kick. 30 points to 20. Gary Larson, one of the warriors for this Australian team today. Now they go wide. The brothers Johns, they put it together, and Matthew has reached opposition territory. With under 4 minutes of this one to go, the second semi-final of the World Cup. Jason Smith, 7 or 8 metres into New Zealand's territory. From Tuvey to Fittler, then Brasher. The pass looked forward to Dimmick, and it's out for Coyne. He rolls it inside the 20-metre line. Ridge is there, met by Brasher. So Australia have got it on the right end of the park.
Again, the Australians coming up with some good defence. Can't put man on the ground, Richie Blackmore. New Zealand is throwing the ball around, trying to create a miracle. Matthew Ridge back inside. That's Ruben Wiki. The tackle's running out, and so too time.
Just over 2 minutes on the clock, and there'd be little time out in this second 10-minute stanza. Repeating at 20 all after 80 minutes. They turned around for another 20. New Zealand now, with Blackmore towing it ahead. Brasher getting away from Blackmore, using Robbie O'Davis, and Robbie goes up the centre to be grabbed around the scruff of the neck by Blackmore. They've dealt out some punishment, Blackmore and Iro. Here's Nick Kosef now, on the halfway, playing it back to Menzies as Dimmick gushes some water down the throat. A tiring day, a draining day for all Australian supporters, because there's been some nerve-wracking moments here as Jason Smith passes for Nick Kosef, and Kosef wrapped up by Namu. 30 points to 20, and the referee has found a knock on. An incredible game. Australia led 10-0, and the match had hardly been born. And then they led by a big space, 20 points to 6, 14 in front they were. And the Kiwis came back. 20 points and so into extra time. Not being critical of Andrew Johns, he played marvellously, but 2 out of 6, that was the difference off the boot. While Ridge was plotting them, Johns was missing them. O'Davis does some light stepping, and Robbie is tackled just outside the 20-metre line for Terry Hill. Coyne is with it. Matthew Johns now had the choice of outside or in, with Kosef trailing. 19 metres out. If the BBC's man of the match goes into the frame, it is Stephen Menzies. Coyne's pass comes off Tuvey and goes backwards, and Jeff Tuvey, he couldn't run after that football. He's down again, Jeff. He just can't move, the poor little fellow in the number 7. Kosef is with it now. Australia 10 points in front. The clock says it's over, and Australia will head for Wembley. Johns with a long ball. Then Coyne's pass goes to ground. The New Zealanders, through Stacey Jones, are making their way down the ground. They go out to the wing. Barnett steps away from Dallas, but is eventually pulled down by the Australians. 20 minutes gone on the clock, and that's been exhibited now for 30 seconds. They kick down the ground, and Henry Paul is after it with Brasher. Brasher guards the ball over the dead ball, so back to the 20, and I don't know that they'll have time for that. Daylight savings started, or should I say finished here at midnight last night, and this northern city Huddersfield is pitch black out there. Couldn't have happened on a worse day. There's the siren. Australia are bound for the Twin Towers of Wembley. To defend the title they have won 4 times consecutively. They will play England at Wembley after a hair-raising experience here at McAlpine Stadium, Huddersfield today. Repeating after extra time, Australia have defeated New Zealand by 30 points to 20.